Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we are very glad to have this opportunity to be here in this joint presentation. And as you know, today we are going to talk about sexual harassment. And the topic we choose is called CC McDonald. And they are all my wonderful partners. So let's get started. First of all, let's talk about our organizations. First, we are going to give some definition about the term transgender and sexual harassment. And then we have some discussed in our case, which is CC McDonald. And then we are going to give you some argumentative points on our case. Finally, we'll have some little questions. So let's get started. First, what is sexual harassment? Sexual harassment is bullying or coercion, Actually, I have a little issue, which is that I have difficulty in reading. So it's gonna take me about 30 minutes to read through this whole slide of PowerPoint. But we only have 15 minutes, and I have my little issue. So I usually experience my world by examples, so that's exactly what we are going to do today. If you come from Taoyuan, then you might be familiar with this logo. To my parents, this logo means their son's promising future, good English speaking skills, and such and such and such. To me, that logo means nothing more but sadness, torture, humiliation. In short, it means hell. But if you're not come from Taoyuan, you might be more familiar with this one. This is just another hill which runs their business even better so they can torture even more kids. But even though I hate that place, I did learn something. I can still remember the first time I walked into a classroom, there is a strange foreigner who was talking about the weather. He said, "Hello class, please repeat after me. It's so hot. Hot, hot, hot." We all have heard the sentence called practice makes perfect, so that's what I did. The other day, I met our wonderful classmate Michelle, so I talked to her. I said, "Hey Michelle, it's so hot. Hot, hot, hot." Cool, no problem. But today, if I change the way I speak just a little bit, that will change the whole story. It goes like this. "Hey Michelle, it's so hot. Hot, hot, hot." Like that. That will cause a very severe consequence. So I concluded sexual harassment into 3A. First one is it can happen at any time, it can take place in anywhere, and most important of all, as long as the victim has feel any kind of uncomfortable. Next, we are going to talk about transgender. I'm going to kill the one who made this slide of PowerPoint. Yes, Andy, I was talking about you. Anyways, you know my issue. So what is a transgender? This is a transgender. But don't laugh, don't laugh. The reason I choose this picture is not about making fun of her. The only reason I choose this picture is because she is the only transgender who is famous enough to be our representative examples. Especially we are in a sexual harassment class, so it's not really likely we are going to make fun of her. So please do not misunderstand my intention. So we still have to give some definition about transgender. Trans means exchange or switch, and gender means that you're male, female, men, women, boys, or girls. Just in case that some of you might not get the idea very clearly, so our group prepared a little activity to interact with all the audience. Please look at this picture. Could everybody tell me by raising your hand, do you think the person in this picture is a she or a he. So anyone thinks this one is a she by raising your hand. And who thinks this one is a he? A he, a he. Okay, okay. Just keep your hand raising for just a moment. Thank you, thank you. The answer is she's my very own sister. And I swear to God, I can guarantee she is not a transgender. So for those who just raising your hand, please write down your name, hand it over. I'm going to sue you later. Anyways, today we are going to focus on the case called Cici McDonald. So who is Cici? Did it happen in McDonald restaurant? Let's see what my other partners have to say.
Thank you, Zoe, for the wonderful presentation. So let us start with our case, Cici McDonald. Were you guys just thinking about fried chicken? No, no, no. Well, I did. Okay, so before we start about the case, let's see some background information first. Who is Cici? Cici McDonald is a transgender woman who was born with a male body with the name of Kristen Reed McDonald. And at the age of 14, she began to live as a woman, and since then, she has been receiving a hormone treatment system to continue her transformation. And Cici is one protagonist of our case, and the other one is named Smith, Dean Smith. Since the age of 18, Smith has been committed some crime, and he also had the word outlaw tattooed across his back, and he also has a swastika tattoo on his chest. See? Okay. And later that day, when this case happened and toxicology results found it, that night we know that Smith has consumed some drugs. This is just the name of the drugs. Okay, so that's our case starting. Once upon a time, in a summer night, Cici and her friends, which consists of a girl and two gays, were going to town to buy some groceries. And they happened to came across a bar where Smith and his gang were just hanging out there. That was Smith, and that one is beside him is his girlfriend, and the other one is his ex. Upon seeing Cici and her friends, Smith called up to them, but not using polite words like, "Hi, what's up?" No, he called up to them using a bad words. "Oh, you faggots, you nigger lovers, and whoop-doo, you ain't nothing but a bunch of nigger babies." For those who don't know what nigger means, it's a bad word used to address black slaves in the old days. And faggots, you know, it kind of means of gays. And of course, any normal people will feel offended, right? That's what happened to Cici's friend. This guy stood up to Smith and said, "What did you say?" Upon seeing someone stood up to him, Smith didn't back off. He even mocked even more. "Oh, look at the tranny, look at the tranny." Tranny is a slang word to address a transgender. And after arguing back and forth, finally, Smith's girlfriend smashed a glass upon Cici's face, opening a gash on her left cheek. And then the fight was on. When these guys were arguing, three of Cici's friend and Smith's girlfriend and his ex, Cici and Smith actually moved to the other side of the street, and they were fighting alone. But at that point of time, there was a witness. See, down there? This guy named Gary Gilbert, and he happened to be at the bar that night. And according to Gary Gilbert, what happened is something like this. Smith was shuffling his feet like he's going to do some boxing, and then Cici, because she was bleeding from her wound, and she felt in danger, so she grabbed her purse and she took out the scissors. And finally, when Smith's approaching her, Cici stabbed Smith in his heart. that left Smith bleed to death. At this point of time, we can clearly see that Sissy do this because she felt in danger. She acted in self-defense. But did the judge think the same? That's what my other partner will say about.
Okay, thank you for the opening. So then the trial begins. The first is the argument of Isaac, C.C. McDonald's lawyer. McDonald was also bleeding profusely from the wound in her face from the shattered glass and had every reason to believe she was in danger. Here the picture of C.C. She received 11 stitches to her cheek. She acted in self-defense. She stabbed him, but her actions were reasonable when confronted with the reasonable possibility of bodily harm or death to herself. So the conclusion is, it undercuts any kind of intentional action on her part. But the opposite argument said different. The opposite argument comes from County Attorney Freeman, labeled addressed as it's a simple affair. She took a person's life. Any civilization put a penalty on taking the life of others individual. The exception will be wartime or self-defense. She stepped forward to thrust a weapon into a person that had not assaulted her. This was not a self-defense. Why so? First, no evidence to suggest Smith posed a threat to McDonald's life. It's someone else who smashed the glass on McDonald's face. It's not even Smith. The next, if McDonald believed that she was in danger, she had every opportunity to run away. But why instead she stayed there, grab her purse, and take a scissor out there and keep fighting? At the end of the case, Cici was given a choice to keep fighting, insist she act in self-defense, put her family through a trial and face 40 years in prison if lose, or to step back, give in and accept an expected 41 months in prison. A minimum punishment for second-degree manslaughter is 41 months. The offer was deemed generous, factoring by served and good behavior. McDonald could be free in a year and a half. But in taking it, McDonald will have to throw her legal claim of self-defense and confess that she created an unreasonable risk of injury or death by pointing the scissor towards Smith, who was unarmed.
Thanks, Andy. Okay, now we have come to the final judgment of this case. The 23-year-old Cici McDonald is being charged as a man, although she's a transgender. She's a person in transition from a man to a woman. McDonald undergoes the female hormone treatments, thus her ID is still registered as a male. Cici McDonald is sent to Minnesota Correctional Facility named St. Cloud, which is a men's prison, and she is the only woman in the men's jail. So we have to understand that jail conditions for transgender people are notoriously abusive. Let us now take a few looks at the examples that transgender people face in the prison or just outside the prison. In NYPD custody, trans people get chained to fences and poles. The next example, a desk sergeant asked her whether she had a penis or a vagina. This is a sexual harassment and also the transgender discrimination. The next article came from a statement from a transgender woman prisoner in California. This woman is serving a life sentence at California, so let's look what she wants to say in this article. She said, "We live under constant threat of either physical and or sexual assault by other inmates living in the same dormitory. Unfortunately, custodial staff and administration have taken no measures to protect us from these abuses." She said, "Once back in the dormitory during the night, I again started to have nighttime visitors seeking sexual favors. This is sexual harassment." The next example, she said, when she stayed asleep, she found out that someone was pounding her breast someone had had sex with her during the night while he had been asleep. So after all the sexual harassment that she faced, she still did not feel safe in talking to any free staff due to her being victimized twice. First as an assault victim, and second as being the person that had caused the trouble. She did not want to have any additional drama that may have caused her removal from the main line, resulting in the loss of her job in pastoral care services. So most of the abuse and attacks go unreported by transgender prisoners to custody of clinical staff for fear of being placed in exec, which is initiation segregation, supposedly for their own protection. So now we've come to our questions time. The first question we have is, should we build a specific prison for transgender people? The second question is, if you were the jury, where will you place Cici McDonald? Male prison, female prison, or Ming Xiong's McDonald? Well, there's no Ming Xiong's McDonald. The last question we have come up with is, if Cici McDonald were a real woman, do you think she would be sentenced to prison? Would the judge see the act as self-defense? Okay, this is our group presentation.
Thanks very much. So, oh yes, good. Right. So can we have group 2